Hey, Sam, it's really nice to meet you. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
The day we're recording this, we're on the verge of summer, unofficial summer, Memorial Day weekend. And I know you grew up in Jersey, and I'm sure you've got a ton of memories of summers on the Jersey Shore. So being in Nashville now, what do you how do you view summers, and what do you have planned for this year?
Um, Most of my summer plans revolve around planning trips to New Jersey, so I can be there, so I can be there for the summer. I've really tried hard to subscribe to the Nashville thing of, well, we have lakes here, and it's just not the same thing.
Yeah, not the same.
It's not the same thing.
I've been to Surf City. That was a long time ago. Was there a specific spot on the shore that you frequented often growing up?
Long Branch is where I grew up. Asbury Park, Long Branch is like the beaches that I went to.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully you can get back. You just released a new album, which we'll hopefully dig into a little bit. But I want to kind of just take a step back because we've never met, and I just had some questions. So I'm really interested because I have two sons. They one just graduated college, one is in college. They don't play soccer in college, but they played pretty high level all through growing up at clubs and high school and stuff.
Sure.
And I'm just curious, what lessons did you learn from playing soccer? Are there any relevant lessons that you've applied in your journey of being a musician and a songwriter?
I guess playing college and soccer is or yeah, soccer and college is a completely different beast than anything else, and you just really learn how to work hard and manage your time, and um, I think that would be like the greatest takeaway from that. I think college really changed my relationship with soccer, um, but I'm grateful for it because I realize that I love other things more.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I know you can co-write songs, and especially in Nashville, there's a lot of that there. But it also can be pretty solo and pretty. I don't know if alone is the right way to put it, but soccer is the ultimate team sport. Are you more comfortable co-writing and being in sort of a collaborative environment, or do you tend to you know do things on your own when it comes to music?
I tend to write alone a lot, um, but certainly recently, and and maybe generally always, I've tried to do things that put me around other people in music because it is very isolating at times, and you can spend a lot of time locked in a room by yourself. And I just personally can be really good at not going out and seeing people and kind of getting into a hole. So I try and make an effort now to get out and be around people as much as I can, even if it doesn't yield anything. It's good to be out in the community.
So the new album is called American Dream Trajectory, right? You've released a couple of EPs before. Does this feel different that it's a full album? A lot of the musicians I've talked to, there's a trend where they're saying, "Listen, I'm just going to do singles and EPs. I'm not going to go through the whole process of doing an album for whatever reason." What was your thought process on doing the album? And yeah, does it feel different than what you've previously released?
It feels different in that the content and the soundscapes and the writing and the storytelling is all kind of like what I want the foundation of the rest of my career to be built on. And so it sounds the most me. It sounds like the most uh, authentic, I guess. Authentic is like kind of like an overused word in the music industry at the moment, but it sounds the most authentic to me. And I think it does the stories I want to tell and the place that I'm from justice in the best way that I think I could at the time. So it's different in that the music is very different. I'm playing with a live band. That's different. Yeah, a lot of like the sonic palettes are different. In terms of like releasing it and singles and albums, like album is a record, an album is still in my opinion like a sacred thing. And I think releasing singles is cool, and it's I understand the business of it. I understand the attention spans of the listener. Um, I just think that albums age better and they age well. And I think having one place for all of these songs to live as a cohesive thing really was important to me, and really means a lot to me to have um, a collection like that, because I want to just stack up albums. And all of my heroes and musical heroes, they're just album artists. You can kind of like see the seasons of their life that they were going through based on whichever album they were writing or releasing. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah. So for the debut, I mean, that's a big deal, right? I guess how long ago did this sort of come together in your head and your heart in terms of what you wanted to say, and especially as your first one? You know, is it something you've been chewing on for a number of years?
I've always wanted to make one. I didn't feel confident enough to make one, I don't think, until like the fall of 2023, I guess. So not that long ago. And it was written and recorded from August of 2023, I guess, until we tracked everything in April of 2024 and worked on it all that year, and then kind of wrapped it up in the winter of this year, in January or February. I've been thinking about it for a while in terms of I've just always wanted to make an album, and I didn't really start thinking about the content of the album until I guess a year and a half ago. So
Hmm.
it came together pretty quickly from writing it to producing it to putting it out.
I think you signed with Elektra. What was that experience like? You know, in terms of being part of a pretty big label, and especially for your first one, were they pretty hands off?
They were great. I love a lot of the people that worked there. They were really supportive, and uh, really I just appreciate that they gave me a lot of time to figure out what it is I want it to sound like,
Mhm.
and the music that I wanted to make going forward, because I've tried a few different things. So that I will always appreciate. Elektra as a label doesn't exist now, I guess, because they got bought by Warner, and that was a whole thing. So then I was kind of in the middle of that. I was making the album. I was in London, and Elektra kind of exploded.
Okay.
We put out a song on some day in September 27th or 28th, and like 2 days later, they had fired everyone at the label. And the day before, we were talking about, here's the cover for the single in 6 weeks, and here's a music video. So we were doing all these things, and that kind of threw a wrench in a lot of the momentum of, here we go, like we're putting out two singles, we're kind of resetting the sonic palette. I knew that I was sort of taking a risk with people that listen to my music or have listened to my music, in terms of a bit of a rebrand, or I guess a original brand, like a branding of myself for the first time, maybe. um, but yeah, so the Elektra thing is complicated. I love a lot of the people still that worked there, that don't work there anymore, and that work in many different places now. But mostly my relationship with them was great. They were really, really supportive of a lot of things that I wanted to do, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So I think I've ever read recently you've signed with TikTok, right?
Yeah,
I guess I have no idea what that actually means. Do they serve the same function as a record label, or is it a completely different model?
they do. They do. It's really just a distribution thing. So
Mhm.
they act as like a distributor, and they're kind of a middleman between me and my songs and Spotify and Apple and the various other places that songs land. It's a pretty new venture for them, I believe. So I think it's everyone's kind of learning at the same time. The people that work there are great. I've known them for a long time when they worked at other companies. So it felt like the right time to jump into something with someone.
Yeah, I guess what do you attribute your success on TikTok to?
I don't know. I feel complete to be completely transparent. I feel completely lost on the internet. I have tried a lot of different things. I have studied a lot of different things. I don't think it's certain how I feel is for a lack of trying. I think
Mhm.
I haven't really found my thing yet on the internet. It's an arduous task sometimes,
Yeah.
and it can be a bit confusing when you have music that you really believe in and you just want to get it in front of people. Um, but I've sort of been treating it like a science experiment, and that's been the healthiest way for me to compartmentalize the social media aspect of being an artist, because I do understand the importance.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting about I think the position that you have and the brand that you're building is, again, a lot of the people I talk to, they're not that well known, right? They're in Nashville, maybe not playing Broadway, but they're playing all these cool venues, and they're scrapping and crawling for 5 more followers, 15. They're really trying to grow that, and you're in a position where it's not, I don't think millions and millions and millions and millions yet, but it's substantial. So like you're in a position where a lot of these musicians that I've talked to would love to be in. I guess, how do you plan to sort of leverage that and take that forward?
I really have, and I have always had the mindset that you're kind of talking about of scrapping for 5 new people a day. Um, I've always had that. I would like to have that for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just kind of how I go about everything. I don't take too much time to think about what it is I have accomplished or have been successful in, maybe to my detriment, but it has been helpful for me at least to just keep the blinders on and keep going and have a chip on my shoulder type mentality. Because that's sort of how I was raised, and I enjoy the work. So it's really just kind of, I feel the same. I'm just kind of showing up every day, and that's the first step, and then figuring it out as we go.
Do you play a lot in Nashville or not so much?
I mean, I've played here maybe 5 or 6 times on
Hmm.
various tours. One tour of my own, and then a bunch of support tours. Um, but I'd love to play more. Honestly,
Yeah. Nashville's crazy, man. Like
it's crazy.
I mean,
It's so
it's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
I think what's kind of cool too is, like, obviously the country music's the thing, but that's bled into Americana, bluegrass, obviously a little bit of pop, country pop, and then I think there's like a growing rap hip hop scene. So it's actually become a pretty cool melting pot, I guess. Do you put yourself in positions to sort of expand those tastes and those flavors of music while you're there?
I'm kind of waiting for the country thing to seep into whatever it is I do. I think I've pushed back against it for a long time because inherently when everyone else is doing something, it's like the last thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of country music, and I love a lot of country music artists. I haven't necessarily found my take on it yet, maybe, and I'm not sure I will. But I'm always looking for things to take home with me and new things to take home with me. So I try and write with different people or be exposed to different music. I love just going to listen to local people play because like the talent here is there's like nothing like it in the world. Truly world class musicians and singers and players and writers and all of that. So it's a cool place to be surrounded by a lot, like you said, like it's just a melting pot of different music. And I'm trying to take in as much as I can in many different areas.
All right, cool. What song on the album do you think is the best representation of the album, but also of you as an artist today?
I still believe that the title track, American Dream Trajectory, or the last song, Whatever You Are, um, would be like on my 2 song business card of what I sound like now, and I think where the sound will evolve to. The title track has always been the song when I was writing all of these songs, has always been the song that I came back to that I thought that sounds the most like me,
Hmm.
whatever that means, in many different ways. And it just kind of checks a lot of my boxes in terms of like the music that I was trying to make and the music that I wanted to hear while we were making it. And Whatever You Are is the last song on the album. And I was talking to someone about this with someone about this the other day. I've only released an EP before, I guess 2 EPs before this, but I've always felt like the last song on every project that I've done has kind of been the first step towards the next thing.
Hmm.
Um, I'd like to say it's intentional. I don't know if it is. It's probably not, but it's probably like a subconscious thing. But Whatever You Are feels like a great closing of the album that we made, and maybe a nod to where I'm going. Um, then again, like I said, like when people start catching on to stuff, I'm like immediately turned off of it. Like if someone tells me like you have to watch this Netflix show, like it's great, you need to watch it. It's like the last thing I'll ever watch ever. Uh, and that's on me. But um, yeah, I would say that those two songs are kind of like where I feel what I feel would sum up the project the best.
So you talked about the sound. Does that statement still hold true, like lyrically too? Do you think like those are two of the songs that represent you as a songwriter as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think both of them just just the lyrics, the production, the band stuff. Um, it they both just kind of do it for me
Yeah.
still. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So the title track's interesting because it's, I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but lyrically, it seems like it's a reference to, someone being derailed by destructive behaviors by somebody, either directly or indirectly, whether family members or people that come into their lives. Do you have personal experience or context that sort of grounded you in writing that?
totally. I think when I was writing it, I was thinking about how people's journey in this climate in this country where I'm from, you can do so much to help yourself, and you can do so much to put yourself in the right positions, and you can do so much to put yourself in the wrong positions. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your environment and the people that raise you and the people that help you grow, or the people that push you out of the house, or the people that let you stay there for too long, they have a big impact on um, what your life looks like, and the person that you become. And so I think the song came from trying to figure out, uh, talking to someone and trying to help them figure out, how much of your past do you take with you into the future, and how much of that has informed who you are, and what you like or what you don't like in your own, relationship or communication tendencies. How much of that are you going to kind of own and take with you into the future, and um, how much do you address it or appreciate it, or how much do you disregard it? And that was just really interesting to me, because a lot of the people that I grew up with and a lot of people that I love are just on completely different trajectories in life, and some of it is circumstantially not their fault, and it's because of they're the products of their environment. um, so yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from in writing that song.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of the other another song called "Recover From."
Mm.
Did you write that with your brother?
I didn't write it with my brother. I wrote it with a, someone who might as well be my brother, Adam Yone, who's amazing. He's a producer and songwriter and just incredible person who lives in LA. He was like one of the first people I ever really made professional music with, um, and my most frequent collaborator. And yeah, me and him wrote "I Don't Want to See You Try" and "Recover From" and "Run Baby Run" together, and a billion other songs. But um, yeah, we did that in LA.
No, that's awesome. I may have I saw something. I thought I saw something on Instagram where you referred to it as a brother. Maybe
Yeah, probably.
that's probably what it was. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I think it's the same sentiment, right? Because this is like my favorite lyric I think on the album, "From Recover From." It's you say, you and Adam say, everything you love came at a cost. Everyone you trust somehow becomes one more thing to recover from. It's a similar sentiment, right? Like it's
Yeah,
the people that you think are the ones that are supposed to be your mentors or coaches and support system. Sometimes that can actually backfire and be like the most destructive people in your life, right?
absolutely. Especially when you're fiercely loyal,
Yeah,
especially when you, especially when those people weren't like that all the time and weren't like that up until that point. It can be hard to rectify that within a relationship when you've loved someone for a long time and then suddenly they're the reason that
yeah.
you're not happy or you're going through something. So it's a complicated thing.
Yeah, that's tough. You think about the institutions of life, right? The church, education, coaches, like soccer coaches, like football coaches. You think about, some of the awful stories of abuse and whatnot. It's from these people that are like hired, and you put your children's sort of life and future in front of them, and they, like, the gymnastics doctor, it's like all
Right.
these crazy things. They're putting these positions of trust and respect, and then here we are, you're actually recovering from them for decades. Yeah, it's awful.
Totally. And that's like at the end, at the extreme end of the scale, which is absolutely applicable. But there's also like, you know, how much of a day, when you're just going through everyday life, how much of a day and your interactions at a day taxes you in ways that you don't realize, like the commute home. Like, you're probably not thinking about how that's wearing on you, but if you spend an hour commuting, that's 2 hours a day. It's a lot of time in the car, uh, at the end of the week. Like, that's something, that's a little example, but there's a lot of things that I think certainly me and many people don't realize that they're still carrying around with them.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, you mentioned "Run Baby Run." That's actually, to me, like the if it's the right term, the friendliest song. That's one. Is it stolen identity? Like,
It is.
what's the
It
premise
is.
of that? Yeah.
It's about a guy who gets his identity stolen, and it gets stolen by a fugitive who is running from the police. And instead of, after being given this information that his identity has been stolen, and that all of this is a true story based on a true story, all of the crimes that the fugitive was committing with his identity were then tied to him. Um, and after getting all of this information, most people would be like, "Oh shit, that's terrible. Like, that's not. This is the worst day ever." So I was writing from the perspective of, well, I don't, the character. I don't like myself so much that if someone were to steal my identity and run away with it, and I was gonna never get it back, then maybe they could be a better me than I would have been. Which is a wild premise, but it was funny to me because it actually happened in real life. And um, I was just like, that would be the most ridiculous circumstance of this story. That would be the most nuclear option if this story was going to go any way. So we had a lot of fun making it. And then the song sounds like an upbeat Tom Petty song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it if you were to read the lyrics, you'd be like, this is kind of dark.
Yeah.
I like the juxtaposition of those two things, and that the lyrics are pretty grim and the song sounds like a summer drive.
Yeah. It's a great sound song. I mean, it's a
Thank
fun
you.
one. Yeah. Did you know the person that experienced that, or is that something that
I
you?
did. Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
like, they were just kind of telling me this story, and I was like, wow, I'm so sorry, but thank you. I will be taking all of that home with me.
Well, I think you're still relatively young. I have no idea how old you are. You're mid-20s, late 20s?
I'm 28.
28. Okay, cool. Again, you're still so young, but we've talked about like destructive behaviors, we've talked about institutions failing us, we've talked about stolen identity, like all these things. What depths do you have to draw from to write these songs? Like it's pretty wild. I mean, it's almost like you've lived like two lives
I,
with these songs on this album and the ones you've already released.
I feel like I've lived many lives. I mean, I like when I was in college, I was playing Division 1 soccer, and I was a nursing student for the
Right.
first 2 years. Um, Stopped doing that. Throughout all of that, I was a lifeguard and an EMT on the Jersey Shore for 10 years. So like that's a whole different existence. Creating music and writing music and being an artist is its own thing. Growing up in New Jersey is its own thing. Anyone growing up anywhere has a lot of relationships, and families are complicated, and there's a lot of things to draw from, and I'm lucky to have a lot of different experiences to draw from. But I was in like a Springsteen black hole before making this album. He's, from my home. Asbury Park is home to both of us. and he writes a lot from character perspectives and about complex family dynamics. And his album, like Nebraska, there's a lineman or state trooper. And so I was just like, well, like the song Church and State, like I was an EMT. I know what it's like to drive an ambulance. I know what it's like to be in the back seat. Like I don't even have to really go that far it's not really going out on a limb to talk about that stuff. Um, the stories and the characters in the stories are changed and maybe emphasized in certain places, but like those experiences are mine, and so they feel honest, and they are honest, and there's a lot of truth in all of them, which I think if there wasn't, they would sound different, and they wouldn't be believable. Um, but yeah, like I've been lucky enough or scatterbrained enough to live a lot of different realities.
Yeah. So the reality now is like you're this musician that's like, on an incredible trajectory, pun intended or whatever.
Yeah,
Did you see yourself, having other, as you put it, lives? Do you want to dabble in other things outside of music, or do you think this is going to keep you busy and interested enough, or is it sort of too soon to tell?
I would love to not have to dabble in anything else. This is really doing it for me at the moment. I will say I'm not scared of dabbling in other things. Being a professional musician and an artist is amazing. It's also not really conducive to a normal reality a lot of the
Right.
time. And I need a lot of normal reality in my life. I need more of that than I need the artist life. So I'm not scared of you know working with cars at some point or something, just completely going off the rails. Uh, because, but ultimately, if I was like, well, I'm going to put the music thing down and I'm going to go change tires, I would end up writing about changing tires. So it all for me just kind of leads back here, and that's how I
Yeah.
know that this is the thing.
In terms of normalcy and all that, like in terms of relationships, how do you find it difficult to keep and maintain like romantic relationships as a musician?
I am in a wonderful romantic relationship now, so I don't find it hard. For my friends, I think I was talking to someone yesterday that I was writing with, and he's an artist and he was dating another artist. And that's just a lot of supercharged ego, I think, in one room. Like that would be a lot for me to handle. And there's a lot of just dissecting of who you are and internalizing things and being really, really sensitive in many times a beautiful way about life and experiences. But that type of volatility, I think, sometimes can be dangerous in relationships. And I know I have a bunch of artist friends that have tried dating other artist friends or even other creatives, and I think it's tough, and it's also even just logistically, like the schedule is insane and it's unpredictable, and falling in love and being in romantic relationships comes with its own uncertainties, and then you throw this career on top of it, and that's a whole nother thing. So I think it's hard. I think it's hard for artists or music minded people to date successfully, at least
Yeah.
in the experiences of the people I am around.
Well, I've talked to a few actually that the artists, the band is made up of married people, and it blows my mind because I'm like, don't you guys get like kind of sick of each other, and so yeah, I agree with you. It's like it's the egos, it's the perfectionism, it's all these things. It's like wow, that would be a lot, but good for them.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. And congrats on your current relationship status. That's
Thank
good
you.
stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. So I mentioned earlier, I'm a father, and I know that in other interviews you've talked about your journey, growing up and your dad being a songwriter. So I'm like not going to go into that, but I do have a question because it ties back to something that you said earlier around, if I was like, hey Sam, you need to go watch this show on Netflix, you're just like, no, like that's the last thing I want to do, right?
Yeah.
Did your dad sort of innately know, not to push music and songwriting because because of the reaction you probably would have had if he had done that?
That's an interesting question. I've never been asked that before. I don't even I know it wasn't calculated. Both of my parents were just like, whatever you want to do, we'll find a way to support it, and that was really just kind of the bottom line for them. I don't know what it would have been like if he was more, hey, you should play guitar, or you should play piano, or you should write songs, or I honestly don't know. I don't really have that perspective. And I didn't start playing music till later on in life, when you kind of get to the age where like you're friends with your parents, and you're just hanging out, and uh, it's been really cool to have that relationship with my parents, and now with my dad especially, be able to talk about songwriting and writing music and singing and all that stuff, because all my life we talked about it in, I just love this song, or I love this band, or I love this album. Um, so it's different now, but yeah, I don't know what it would have been like. My brother is even more. Uh, if you tell him to do anything, like he's the same way. It'll be the last thing that he does. And I know for a fact, if someone was like, you should play guitar, he would have never played guitar, and he's an amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So we're on, we're a few weeks as this is recorded before Father's Day. What's the biggest thing that you have learned from your dad, around music, songwriting, et cetera? And do you guys play together ever? Do you share ideas? Do you try to write together, or is there kind of a little bit of a wall there that
We,
is healthy?
we've never written together, actually. I guess we've written together when I was like a really really little kid. Uh, but and we were just kind of messing around and recording stuff. Um, but he he just really really truly loves songs, and he loves great songs, and he really appreciates the craft of the songwriting. He's always putting me on to uh, just people that I need to know, and that's I'm really big on knowing the history of the music that I want to make, or the lineage of the music that I want to make, especially recently. So it's been cool to kind of talk to him about, the where certain music started.
Mhm.
Like Springsteen had Roy Orbison, and Roy Orbison had somebody else. Like you know, there's a whole list of uh, of musicians that you can really go deep on. But it's been cool to talk to him about music, and I send him songs and all of that, and I get supportive dad feedback back. But he's actually like always very honest about if he likes it or not, and so that's really really helpful.
Well, cool. Well, couple last questions. Where do you think you are as an artist today, and where do you want to be?
My goal has always been from day one to sell at MSG, um, and take the 1016, I think, or 1017 or 1023 train from Red Bank to Madison Square Garden, because it goes right underneath it. That has always been my dream, to get on the train and with like all of my friends, and then go play Madison Square Garden. Uh, and like after that, I'm good. Like I don't. I just want. I need that. Um, in terms of where I am, I don't know. I don't try and like give myself context in terms of my own trajectory to where other people are. I'm kind of just trying to show up every day and move the ball down the field, so to speak, because it's really hard to. Uh, it can be really hard to have expectations of I need to be here, or I should be there, or to kind of do the comparison game. So I've just tried to be wherever it is I am, and keep making things that inspire me and touch people.
All right, that's a great answer. Thank you. So we talked a little bit before the recording. This is kind of the final question. This podcast I'm doing was inspired by Ted Lasso. During COVID, that whole thing sort of changed my life in terms of just leadership lessons and how to deal with people and circumstances. And I thought it was a brilliant show, and the whole notion of positivity and curiosity. Right. So I guess as a 28-year-old, musician in Nashville, at this stage, what do you think? What are you most curious about?
Hmm. Well, in terms of the music or industry, or just
Anything,
anything.
life? Yeah, anything.
Hmm. That's a great question. Uh, I think I'm just curious on how to how to take a second to understand what things mean to you in the moment and not have to wait 6 months to appreciate it. I think that goes for my music career, for my personal life. I really am curious on how best I can be where my feet are and uh, kind of soak in the experiences I'm having, and not have to wait for to be retrospective about it and be like, wow, that was kind of cool, or I really enjoyed that, or um, yeah, I'd love to shorten the time of experience and appreciation, because I think that's a beautiful gift to to be able to appreciate and experience things in real time.
All right, another great answer. So you got to promise me though, like when you're on that train to MSG, to relish that moment in the moment and not wait 5 years and be like, oh yeah, that was sick.
I got to figure it out before then.
You will for sure.
I
So
hope so.
all right, well thanks Sam, really appreciate your time. It was a pleasure to meet you, and good luck with the album and the rest of the year and touring and all the things that you're probably going to be doing. So really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was a blast.
All right, thanks man.